man accused in a deadly shooting outside the downtown library appears before a judge for the first time. More on what happened during today's arraignment.
I want people to know it's out there.
It's a series of 4 seconds worth of pulses on your brain. A local Navy veteran who used to suffer from depression and PTSD tells me it changed his life. The story coming up. Plus, a working for you follow-up. The junk may be gone from in front of a home in City Heights, but neighbors say the problem is far from over.
And Lovely, the band, could have kicked off their nationwide tour anywhere, but they chose San Diego. A concert preview coming up.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts now.
Just hours ago, the man accused in a deadly shooting outside the San Diego Central Library appeared in court for his arraignment. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Last week's shooting left one man dead and another wounded. CBS 8's Shannon Handy is live downtown with what happened inside the courtroom. Shannon.
Well, Carlo and Marcella, 21-year-old Kenneth Cheney pleaded not guilty to several charges, including assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, and murder. In court today, we learned there were 3 victims. One of them was threatened with a gun. The other 2 were shot. Of those shot, 1 survived. The other did not. His name was 20-year-old Trey Walker. He leaves behind a 10-month-old baby girl.
He will be entering not guilty pleas to all charges and all allegations. He will be entering.
21-year-old Kenneth Cheney appeared in his arraignment virtually this afternoon. A judge ordered we not show his face. In court, the prosecution revealed new details surrounding last week's deadly shooting outside the downtown Central Library. Cheney was reportedly in the area with a friend when that friend allegedly stole a backpack. The owner of the backpack pursued them. That's when Cheney is accused of pulling out a gun and pointing it at him. Deputy District Attorney Christy Nicoletish explained what happened next.
At that point, the victim told him and pleaded with him that he just wanted his car keys from the backpack back. So the defendant put the firearm away and then took him to his friend, who he believed to be at the downtown library, to get the backpack back. It was when they arrived at the library that a group, including the 2 victims who were shot at, approached.
This cell phone video shows bystanders tending to the victims. One man who hasn't been identified was hit 2 times as he was running away. 20-year-old Trey Walker was shot once in the neck. He died, leaving behind a 10-month-old baby girl.
It's not real to me. I keep thinking that he's going to walk up right now and just hug us and be like this, like, he should not have died.
CBS 8 spoke with Walker's sister last week during a vigil outside the library. She was among several family members who attended today's arraignment but did not want to go on camera. As for Cheney, he was arrested 2 days after the shooting. Prosecutors say surveillance video, including this one, which allegedly shows Cheney running away with a gun in his hand, helped lead to his arrest. A judge ordered he be held without bail after it was argued he poses a threat to public safety. He faces life in prison. And Cheney's next court appearance is scheduled for June 23rd. We've learned his grandmother actually took a restraining order out against him last year for which she described as violent behavior. And as part of that order, Cheney was not supposed to have a gun. But we also learned he was able to get a job as a security guard by obtaining a special license through the state.
A lot of details coming out, Shannon. Sad that it sounds like it was over a stolen backpack. Are police looking for any other suspects?
We did ask the prosecutor that question today because, as she mentioned, Cheney was originally with a friend, and that friend is the one who she says actually stole the backpack. But she says it is something they're looking into, if there will be any more charges pressed against anyone else. But she also made note of the fact that because this happened downtown, there are hours worth of video camera footage, she says, in the area where this happened, showing what happened before, during, and after the incident. So she indicated they believe they have the one suspect that is responsible for this shooting in this case.
All right. Thank you so much for that update, Shannon.
Tonight, advocates are calling out the San Diego Sheriff's Department after 2 more in-custody deaths.
We can't shuffle things around and expect things to change. These deaths need to stop.
The North County Equity and Justice Coalition held a rally outside the department's headquarters today to highlight the deaths of 2 inmates at the Las Colinas detention facility this month. That brings the total to 6 across the county so far this year. The department has been under scrutiny after a state audit found that there has been a higher rate of jail deaths here compared to other counties. In Orange County, police are still searching for a group of teens caught on camera beating 3 Camp Pendleton Marines. This happened Friday night near the San Clemente Pier. One of the Marines says a large crowd was setting off fireworks when some debris hit his face. He asked the group to move on, and soon after, things you see turned violent. The crowd surrounded the Marines, punching and kicking them while they were on the ground.
My face still had like blood all over it. It wasn't cool at all.
The Marines were treated for minor injuries but refused to go to the hospital. Orange County Sheriff's investigators are now reviewing surveillance footage. They say the attackers could face charges including assault with a deadly weapon.
San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria is urging the city council to pass a new ordinance that would clean up homeless encampments across the city. The ordinance, called Unsafe Camping Ordinance, would prohibit homeless encampments in all public spaces if there are shelter beds available. This comes after families in Barrio Logan raised concerns about kids being exposed to things they shouldn't be. The mayor and the principal at Perkins Elementary School say the kids are being exposed to sex acts, violence, and drug use.
They don't just encounter feces on the sidewalk. They see people actually in the process of defecating into bags or right on the sidewalk. They see people putting needles into their arms.
The ordinance would also prohibit 10 encampments in parks or near schools, regardless of shelter availability.
We have an update tonight on a story we first brought you last week about a home in City Heights that was surrounded by piles of trash.
The property manager worked over the weekend to clean up most of the mess, but neighbors say the people who made that mess are still causing problems. CBS 8's Steve Price shares their concerns tonight in this Working For You update.
The good news is you can now walk down this sidewalk on Myrtle Avenue in City Heights without tripping over trash, and all of the junk on the front yard has pretty much been removed. But neighbors out here say the problems with this house are far from over. This is how the house looked the first time we were here last week. Trash everywhere, spilling onto the street, even on the roof. Sheriff's deputies placed an eviction notice on the front door, kicking out the tenants who, according to the property manager, hadn't paid rent in months. Neighbors hope this meant their nightmare was over, but it's not.
Mucho cochinero, mucha basura.
Ramon Quintero lives next door and says the tenants are now squatting on the property. He says they're noisy and messy and come and go at all hours, causing the dogs in the neighborhood to bark in the middle of the night.
Y los perros, guau, 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 guau. Toda la noche, all night, all day.
Crews were on the property all weekend cleaning up the trash. The once broken windows are now boarded up, and the squatters were chased away.
Se fueron, pero aquí están otra vez.
But Ramon says once those crews left, the trouble returned. We found empty beer cans, signs of drug use, and mounds of trash. We also saw who neighbors say is one of the squatters using water and then entering this shed on the property.
Y hay animales? Muchas ratas, mucho cochinero.
Ramon says their messy living conditions have attracted rats, and they have no bathroom. The area reeks of urine.
We changed the locks and secured the back door.
When CBS 8 talked to a property manager last week, she was hopeful the eviction notice and securing the main house would get the tenants to leave. We reached back out to the management company today, and they empathized with neighbors, saying they're frustrated too. They agreed to either remove or board up the shed to prevent people from living in it, and they plan to shut off the water. They also said they are working with police, and one squatter has been arrested. Working For You, Steve Price, CBS 8.
Can understand the fears and concerns of the people who live nearby.
Yeah, it looks like a lot work still needs to be done out there, but they're
Some
making progress. Yeah.
Some progress. Still ahead tonight, a convicted killer and former Manson family member could go free after an appeals court ruling.
Plus, Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes is now behind prison walls, more than a year after she was convicted of defrauding investors.
We're still holding on to a chance we could see some light showers in the forecast tonight through tomorrow morning, and we even had some record rainfall in a couple of spots today. All those details coming up.
And up next, a debt ceiling compromise goes before a House committee.